Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul, and if you've never been here before, I pretty much like to go over things that I'm curious about and like to share them here on this channel. And so tonight in this video, what I want to share with you guys is something that I know a lot of people struggle with, and it's the topic of love and intimacy. But it's not in the context of those romantic relationships. This is in the context of just the human experience and relationships in the broad sense. Yeah, this is not going to be on the romantic type of love and intimacy. But I was just thinking about this because I know a lot of people struggle with allowing themselves to be loved. Some people struggle with loving others. Other people struggle with allowing themselves to be loved. And this topic is on my mind because C.S. Lewis has a quote. He says, "To love at all is to risk." So there's this idea with me when I was studying trauma and still am, is trauma tends, or childhood trauma can happen a lot within the family especially. And so a big factor of that is the exact people who are supposed to love you are the one who caused you hurt and pain. For other people, they have different stories. Other people have stories with maybe friends that betrayed them, boyfriend or girlfriend, or whatever the case may be. But regardless, a lot of the stuff happens in our childhood sometime where someone who is the object of our love or someone who is supposed to be giving us love hurt us in such a way where our defense mechanism is to close ourselves off and to not feel. And so with this comes a lack in the human experience, okay? And when I have thought about this for myself in terms of fulfillment, in terms of joy, in terms of pleasure, just in life in general, a big part of that is allowing yourself to be loved and willing to open up your heart to love others well as well. And so, with this, I started thinking about the scriptures as I normally do when I'm trying to figure out something. And when I was thinking about, okay, what would it be like if I personally continued to remain closed off? Like I didn't let people get super close. What would my life look like in 50 years from now? And immediately I was thinking of, well, okay, if you don't get to experience love, Paul, like if you keep things shallow in this defense mechanism so that you don't get hurt or anything like that, I started thinking about what will hell be like? Hell will be the absence of all of God's qualities. And First John talks about God is love. So I would assume hell is a place where there is no love. And I was thinking about this to myself, logically speaking, if I want a good human experience just in general, why on earth, although it's risky, and I am acknowledging major risk, why on earth would I deprive myself as a quote unquote defense mechanism of love just because it's risky? Now, with that, I'm not saying it's not scary to love others and be loved. And again, I'm not talking about in a romantic relationship. I'm talking about purely friendships, family, church family, whatever it may be. Allowing yourself to be open, to be vulnerable, to share in hurts, to share in pleasures, to share in joys, to even have a full human experience, you need to be able to risk that hurt. And whenever we're going through life, and for me, this is part of the reason why I'm taking steps forward in this direction. Whenever we're going through life, at least my point of view is I want to be performing at my best. I want to be living life to the fullest. And if I have this thing in the back of my head, I'm going to do everything great or go on and do all the things, but because of XYZ thing that happened, I cannot allow people to get too close, or I myself cannot get too close to people to protect myself. Well, then I will always be living life suboptimally. Always, logically speaking. Because we were created for love, we were created to be in relationships, we were created to be in community and all this stuff. And we really weren't created to be isolated. And one of the things that not allowing yourself to be loved nor loving others does to you is it isolates you. You may be around people, but ultimately you're still isolated. And then I was thinking about this from a different perspective. I was thinking about what causes this continued defense mechanism to take place. What it really is a fear of being hurt again. It's not being hurt again. It's a fear of being hurt again. It's just like when you go to the edge of the cliff, you're not actually afraid of the ground. You're afraid of falling. And then when you're falling, you're not afraid of falling anymore. You're afraid of hitting the ground. You're always afraid of the next thing, not the ultimate thing. And so for me, I was like, okay, it's fear that's actually controlling this desire not to be hurt. And so then I was thinking about the scriptures again, and I was like, okay, perfect love casts out fear. I was like, of course, this makes sense. Perfect love would cast out fear. Perfect love would cast out fear. Perfect love makes us comfortable, makes us confident, makes us secure, etc. And perfect love is only found in God, which is why that's the most secure relationship that we can have. But we are also still supposed to model that. So we can't say, or I can't say, that I am walking well with God if at the same time I'm not allowing myself to be loved and to love. And so, this is just one of those things that I think a lot of us really, really mask up. Even those of us who have some friendships and whatnot, there's many, many layers for what we know are still left to go. And so in just thinking about what it means to walk with God and what it means to live life fully, a big part of it has to do with allowing yourself to be loved and to love. And just being that sense of community, being open, being vulnerable, etc. So with that being said, ponder these scriptures that I thought tonight, that I spoke of tonight, the fact that God is love. We're created to be in community. We're created in God's image, and God is triune, so by default it's a community. Perfect love is found in God. And so if we're supposed to reflect that, love should be an outflow of that walk with God. And I'll say this as like a little caveat to the ending. It doesn't mean it's not scary. But we are to not be controlled by fear in that sense. All of the traumas in the past are completely valid. There is risk. That's why I brought up C.S. Lewis's quote, to love it all is to risk. I mean, Jesus himself is not loved by everybody. And he was the most perfect that there ever could have been. So, yeah, it is a scary thing to risk. Because for anyone who has been hurt or traumatized in any way or form, the depths of hurt that goes, it shatters, it reverberates, it carries on for years. But we're supposed to live in that truth that God is love. And with that comes healing. With that comes the next steps forward. With that comes boldness, comes courage, comes the next step. Some people, it may be really, really scary to think about being loved. Take it one step at a time. One step at a time. But things won't, or at least for me, things didn't get better until I recognized, okay, I can walk forward in the opportunity to love and to be loved because I am loved perfectly by my Father who is in heaven. So that to me was just very encouraging. And so this is something that I wanted to share with you guys. I hope it's encouraging if you do struggle with that at all because you have been hurt in the past. Again, consider these words and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I would love to hear them. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.